presenting Marlo Sarmiento here at the Monteoliveto Home Gallery. Welcome to the Monteoliveto Home Gallery, Marlo.
Thank you, Joe. I'm happy to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
And it's a pleasure to have you here.
I've been here before, and I've enjoyed all my times here in Napoli. Thank you.
I'm very happy to hear about it. So, to start a little bit this presentation about you, this little presentation
Sure.
about you, can you tell us a little bit about you, about your history, biography?
Sure. So I have always been interested in imagery and paintings and beautiful scenes in nature, but I'm not a very good painter or drawer. But I've always appreciated seeing the lines and beauty and symmetry, and sometimes no symmetry in nature. So the best way for me to interpret that and capture it was through photography, because it was something that I didn't know I was good at, but my friends and family all said, "You're really, really good at this. You need to start submitting your work to publications and galleries," and I did, and I was surprised that I had such a really good reception.
Okay. And we're glad that they say
Yeah,
that to
thank you.
because
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
fantastic. Actually, you have one of yours just behind you. It's the first one that we executed.
Yes,
in Naples.
and that also is one of my nature shots, but there's a lot going on in the nature shots, and I don't create it. I see something, it captures my attention, and I don't know what it is about it, but I take the photo, take a few images, and I'll look at it later, and I'll find things, and sometimes I'll actually see, it's like, oh, this is what attracted me. Some of the lines, some of the colors, some of the positions of everything compared to others.
Okay. So it's really inspiration by nature, some of the instants.
Right.
You try to take the instant to capture the instant.
Exactly. And some things aren't created by nature, but by people in a frame, or lines in a building or in a roadway, and sometimes it's shadows, which are ephemeral and moving. And I love the juxtaposition of shadows and light, and the texture that creates in a photo. It's just because it's a moving, living thing when you have shadows and light, and light is photography.
Yeah, of course. Light is photography. I myself am a little amateur photographer, so I understand that.
I'm sure you're better than what you think.
Maybe one day we'll talk about that.
Okay.
But yeah, so you do, it's not your only work, but you take photography everywhere we go.
I do, yeah. So I'm not, I do photography. I've done it mostly as a side to my what I call my day job. I'm actually an attorney. I do software licensing and negotiations for Samsung in Silicon Valley and California. So that's my day job. It doesn't define me. I don't tell everybody that, oh, I'm an attorney. It helps pay the bills. It helps allow me to travel so I can take the photos that I'm sharing with you and some of my fans. And interesting places create interesting opportunities for photography. So I think that's one of the reasons why I like to travel. Others for food and culture, and meeting great people, as I've met here in Napoli.
Very happy to see that. And so we can say that sometimes you're an attorney, but you're always a photographer.
Yeah, I'm always looking at things and appreciating the beauty and sometimes the emotion of just walking down the street. I like to observe how people interact with their environment, and for me, it's better than watching a movie. It is. It's a living movie. I can sit at a cafe just watching the scene unfold before me. I think because for Napoli, it's such a compact city with so many things going on. I could just spend hours just sitting and watching people as they do their daily lives because it's fascinating to me.
I understand it. So, moving on a little bit, why don't we talk a little bit about some photos?
Sure.
So,
I'd love to.
We can start with this one behind you.
Yes.
The first one that we have exhibited here in Naples.
Yes.
And can you tell me a little bit more about this one? Where it was taken?
Yeah.
And why it was taken?
So this photo is in Fakarava Atoll in French Polynesia. So Fakarava is a I believe it has volcanic origin, and when the volcano subsides and erodes into the sea, it still leaves the rim, the crater,
Okay.
the caldera, the small caldera,
Yeah.
and the coral reef around it protects that small piece of land that encircles what used to be the island. And this was taken in the southern part of the atoll, and I think it's the second largest or third largest atoll in the world in terms of square kilometers. But during low tide, this piece of dead wood, which is a ironwood tree, which is very, very dense and it doesn't float, it normally is under 1 or 2 meters of water.
Okay.
But during low tide, you'll see the
Almost.
yeah, it's visible. There's nothing living on it, but all around it is pieces of coral and fish swimming, and there's quite a bit of life in here.
Okay.
Which you can't see from above ground, but underneath there's small organisms that are living and breathing and doing their normal things in life. So even though it seems to be such a stark photo, there's actually quite a bit of life to it.
Yeah, that's what I say. You can, if you focalize only on the dead wood,
Yeah.
you can think about something.
Yeah.
Dead, actually,
And
there is a life all
exactly. And there was just something that attracted me to this particular image because it seemed so stark. There were so many contrasts with the levels of imagery. So there's the seafloor, or here the atoll floor, which is made up of coral, and above it in the water column, the local water column are the organisms, and then you have the piece of dead driftwood, and then there's the air, there's the horizon, there's the blueness of the sand reflecting some of the light from above, and a storm in the very distance.
Okay.
And there's many layers to see in this photograph. So that's one of the reasons why I loved it so much. And then something that I found later, and other people pointed out to me, is that the cloud bottoms, if you look at them, they're really extensions of the branches as well. So
Yeah.
this branch
Totally.
extends to this cloud, this middle branch extends there, and this one extends
And
along
then one.
this way.
So yes.
And I didn't plan that. I just,
It just happened.
it was a fortunate confluence of events.
I like it. So, passing to another one, I
Sure.
have something here, quite different because it's a black and white photo.
Yes.
Let me show it to the camera. And you called this one Disciples.
Yeah.
Can you tell me why? I know why.
Yeah.
It's
So
clear, but
So it's the title will give you an idea of why I called it Disciples. But what it struck me first was the cross. It just seemed in an unnatural place. Normally, you associate crosses with inside a church,
Yeah.
on a rosary bead,
of course.
on a wall, or sticking in a courtyard up. And this one was in the middle of a cactus patch.
Yeah.
And so that I looked at it, and the sky behind it was this deep, deep blue, which provided really, really good contrast with the rest of the foreground. And originally this was a color photo, but sometimes I'll desaturate it to see what it looks like with just black and white and grays, and it popped out to me that, wow, that's more stunning to me as a black and white image. And the reason why I call it Disciples is because of the cactus, which, if you look at they sort of resemble heads or palms, praising the Jesus Christ on the cross.
Yeah.
And there's things in the elements in this photo that other people pointed out to me that I wasn't aware of, and one of them were there's two nails. How do you say it in codiclia? In Italian, nails. Chiodi, yeah. So there's two nails here, which I don't know if the camera can see them, but there's one here and one here,
okay.
where Jesus was representatively nailed to the cross. And because there are also spiny cactus here, there are nails, natural nails in the body of the cactus. So somebody pointed that out to me, and I said, "Oh, thank you," because I didn't see that before. And it's interesting to see things from other people's perspective, because I wasn't aware of that, but I see it now, and it gives further meaning to this photograph. I just thought it was a stunning contrast between what we think of crosses and people in religion, and it wasn't natural to me, but here it feels as if at least this cross is in its natural state, with its disciples, with its crowd.
Yeah, that struck me the first time. That's why I say the natural.
Okay.
My preference. Okay, let's put this one here and move on to the last one.
Sure.
So this one, the long crossing, I think.
But yes, this is called the Long Crossing, and this was taken, I think, 2006 in Baja, California, Mexico. And I was down there with some friends, just traveling around very rural part of the Baja Peninsula. And I was sitting up here just having some conversation and drinks with people, and I noticed that this old man who started out here, but it took him an hour just shuffling his feet to cross this street, and there's no traffic.
Yeah.
He was taking his time, and you could tell that he was once a tall man, probably proud, and he's hunched over like this, and it seemed a real effort for him to cross this street. Yeah. So this was another show of how everything just fit in at the very right moment for me, because by the time he got here, the shadows of the sun as it was setting over the horizon elongated along the street and showed where he came from.
Oh yeah.
And I love the light at sunset because it's not as harsh as when it's above, directly above during noontime. So there's subtlety in the color, and definitely the contrast and shadows, but it's not a strong contrast that you can't capture in so there's softer contrast at this time of day, and it took him probably another 10-15 minutes to get out of the frame, and by then it was dark and the moment was gone. So it took me a while to get this photo because I had to wait for him for an hour. But patience and timing, and I just happened to be there.
Yeah.
He was unwittingly a subject of this photo. I don't think he even noticed that I was there.
Yeah.
He was in his own element, and that was fine. And I love it because it just everything came together for this photo.
There's always an impressive story behind the photo.
Exactly.
I really like this. So we are at the end of this interview. I just wanted to say, well, as you are in Naples and it's your second time with us here, what do you think about the city? What do you think about being here?
Thank you. Thank you for asking me that, because I've been, I think this is my 5th or 6th trip to Italy. My 2nd trip to Naples, but the 2nd trip because it's one of the cities in Italy that I really have enjoyed coming to and returning to now. So it's only first city that I've come to twice.
Oh.
And there's a life and vibrancy in Naples that I haven't seen in my other travels around Italy. The food is absolutely spectacular, but I think what moves me most about Naples is the people. It's that they seem to be alive. They're engaged with each other, and they're extremely friendly. They're some of the most hospitable people I've met, including you and your family. And,
thank you very much.
You've extended some really nice gestures of friendliness and openness to not just me, but the other artists that I've met in your gallery, and just the warmth of the people, the openness that you and other people that I've met here, that I've experienced, are things that I cherish and will remember, and will want me to return here many times.
And we surely wait for you.
I look forward to doing that.
Perfect. Thank you, Marlo. It's a pleasure.
Yeah.